Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Melanin Mayhem podcast, hosted by your favorite country girl, Renee Davis. If this is your first time joining us for shenanigans and fuckery, welcome. We're so glad to have you over here at the House of Mayhem, because this podcast shines a big old bright light on some of the most audacious, diabolical, and downright fucktastic criminal masterminds that did some heinous crimes. And you know what? The worst part about it is you probably never heard about it. My mission in life is to dispel the myth in our community that there are crimes that Black people don't commit, because that's cap, y'all. And if you keep listening, you will learn that Black people do all kinds of shenanigans. We just don't get the same airtime as our male sapien counterparts. Now, as a public service announcement, again, if this is your first time, I have to warn you that this podcast, it contains adult themes, tales of violence and shenanigans, and all types of mayhem told in a manner as to entertain and educate by a host that cusses like a sailor, is country as a bowl of grits, but has a voice that you can get lost in. But watch yourself, honey, because it's easy to get hooked on the mayhem. And now that I've given you a little bit of taste of what's to come, what's cracking, New One Nation? Them my peoples over there, honey. I hope y'all had a fabulous Mother's Day. It was quiet over here. It was rainy and whatnot in the city, and I just stayed in because I got 2 episodes to put out this week. So I know y'all don't play about y'all mayhem being on time, so I did what I was supposed to do, and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? Now, that being said, how y'all like the sound this week? Santa Claus was good to me and put my booth up, and everything is all together, and I got all kinds of gadgets and shit to play with, and ooh, honey, I'm having fun like a kid in a candy store, so I can't wait to hear what y'all think about this week's sound compared to what it was. I'm talking new mics and new everything, honey. I am loving this. Thank you, Santa. But anyway, we came here to do what we do, right, New One Nation, so let's get into it. Now, this week, we're going back to California, to the East Bay area specifically, talking about Oakland and the surrounding suburbs. And I'm just going to straight up tell y'all, the nigga we going to talk about today, he a problem, and he got a problem. Or should I say he had a problem? His problem was prostitutes. You know, ladies of the night, them sex workers, whatever it is that you like to call them, he got it bad. Wayne told us it ain't tricking if you got it, but for this nigga, he felt it ain't prostitution if you take it, beat him, and leave him for dead. And take, beat, and leave for dead, this motherfucker did. When I tell y'all how this audacious, diabolical motherfucker did these women, all you gonna be able to say is, it's bad, y'all. It's one of them cases, like I said, where the motherfucker that is supposed to be on the good guys team, you know, good career, family man, all that shit. But all the while, we thinking he's one of them, he's a good man, Savannah type of niggas, when he is actually the villain in the story that nobody can believe is capable of committing these types of crimes. But you know, it's my duty to bring this trifling bastard to the front of the congregation so we can spot his tribe when we out and about doing what we do. So, New One Nation, this week's Melanin Mayhem maker is Mr. Anthony McKnight. He ain't got no nickname, so we just gonna have to call him another audacious motherfucker. All right, New One Nation, let's get into it, honey. This week, no foreplay. We get straight to the business at hand. When I tell you that there is no background this week, I mean nobody took the time to find anything out about this nigga before he jumped off into them serial offender streets. All I know is that he was born in 1954. Exactly when in 1954? Don't know. And whose offspring this spawn of Satan is? Complete blank. But that's okay. That's enough to know that he was born. This nigga was alive because he was a sexual deviant that the world don't need to waste too much ink on, if you know what I'm saying. Oakland and Emeryville, which is a suburb of Oakland, they had a little problem on their hands in the mid-1980s, much like many parts of the rest of California, because hell, we've been doing these podcast episodes for a while now, and California is one of the more frequent places where we got mayhem makers. But in this particular case, in the mid-80s, there was a man out there fucking up the local sex workers. Again, nothing new about that, but in Oakland, Emeryville, this motherfucker was beating them bad to the 10th power type of fuckery going on with these beatings and these rapings or whatnot. And he was sadistic with it because he would be beating on them and then he would kind of let them get away for a little bit, make them think that they had gotten away from him or were able to run away from him. And then he would snatch them up and play with his knife on them. And he also had a type, kind of. I mean, other than the fact that he liked a prostitute, he liked a certain type of prostitute, if you will. You know, while she was out on the stroll selling ass, he wanted her to be kind of young. Not too many miles on that thing, you know what I'm saying? And he liked the ones that looked like they were just getting their feet wet on the hoe stroll. You know, the ones that didn't know all the tricks of the trade and didn't know how to handle themselves in the types of situations that they might find themselves in out here in these streets. He went about finding those type of women. And when he found them, ooh, he did them wrong, y'all. But thankfully, somehow, some way, some of these women that I am about to tell y'all about actually made it through the fire and came out on the other side. Oh, they was definitely burned. Please believe it. Some of them crispity crunchity, but yet and still they in the land of the living, honey. Now, I'm going to also say this. Every man that buys some sloppy toppy ain't no killer. But this one is. You know what I'm saying? This motherfucker here, absolutely. And he dipped his toe into the buying of the coochie gang land in around 1982. But it was all bad because the chick he was trying to get some head from just so happened to be an undercover cop. Yeah, your boy Anthony got caught up in a sting in Emeryville trying to get some $20 head. But you know, it really didn't mean nothing because for them $20, they ain't doing nothing but give him a slap on the wrist. They took him in, took his picture, gave him a fine and 1 year's probation, and sent him back on his way. If only this would have been enough, if they had put enough teeth to it to scare this motherfucker straight and make him stop and think, you know what, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe this is a sign to leave these pay it in advance women alone. But nope, this nigga just went underground for a minute to plan and plot how he needed to move in the future. And ooh-wee, when he popped back on the scene about 2 years later, that nigga wasn't nothing nice, honey. Wait till y'all hear this shit. So we're gonna start October 22nd, 1984, when 24-year-old Felicia Murphy, she was standing outside of a club, little card club, what they call it. I guess it's underground gambling or some shit like that. But she's standing outside the club, just minding her own business, when a nigga pull up on her and put that blicky on her and made her get in his truck. The nigga drives off and he gets to an industrial area. He put the gun up and pull out a blade. Oh shit, you done literally bought a knife to a gunfight. Okay, nigga. He makes Felicia get out of his truck and then he tell her to take it all off and lay on the ground. Well, Felicia wasn't moving fast enough for his taste, so he pushes her on the ground and he started cutting her catsuit off of her. Some kind of way, in a turn of luck or whatever, Felicia is able to jump up, grab the knife, and start running. Now Sister Girl is like Spider-Man and parkour and all of that up in this bitch because she is running and jumping and climbing over shit like trash cans and going through barbed wire. Like, Felicia is running for her life because old boy is on her ass in his truck. But she outruns him some type of way. So she has ducked and dodged and weaved in between some shit, and it all got quiet. She don't see the truck no more. She don't hear the truck no more. So Felicia think that she done outran this nigga. So she starts walking, trying to figure out how to get back to civilization. So she's walking, she's walking, she's walking, she's walking. Then all of a sudden, Felicia looked down, and there this nigga was, laying on the ground, looking up at her ass. Shit! Man, this nigga popped up and charged at Felicia. He get the knife, and it was on. He throw her back in his truck, drive her back to the secluded spot, and Felicia tries to run again, but this time dude was ready. He caught her ass under a tractor trailer and commenced to molly-whopping that ass for old and for new. Ooh, Lord, I'm talking about he was beating her like a whole grown-ass man. And then he still got that knife, so he figured he had done enough with his fist. He started jugging her with the goddamn knife, twice in the chest. Choop, choop. Oh my God, Felicia is hurt. She is begging for her life. Like, can you imagine it? She is stuck twice. One of her lungs is collapsed. She is beat down, just fucked up. And this stinking ass, audacious ass motherfucker then decides that this is the perfect time to make Felicia give him some head. While she's sitting here snotting and crying and bleeding like a stuck pig. What? But she did it because she ain't have no choice. And when he had enough, then the motherfucker raped her. Then this motherfucker cut her throat. I'm talking about an 8-inch gash, y'all. Like from ear to ear. Ooh, this nigga cut her deep. And when he was finished, he left her body under that tractor trailer in Emeryville, California. But what this diabolical bastard didn't know was that Felicia was still alive. And she had seen his license plate and she had memorized his motherfucking face. He couldn't know that, yes, Felicia is a sex worker. But according to the San Francisco Examiner, she was, quote, an articulate, quick-witted prostitute with an unusual eye for detail, end quote. I mean, that's a legit quote, what they said about this woman. Like, so what? Just because she sucking fuck for a living, that don't mean she dumb. You know, it's always, I don't know why it's surprising, but if they can discount us, they will discount us. I know this was back in the day. I don't know, maybe that's what was bothering me, because I'm hearing things about what these people are saying or how they describe this women, and it pisses me off, right? But I gotta remember this was in the 80s. Ain't nothing I can do about it but keep it moving. But ooh, it burns my bubble. But anyway, Felicia, she is able to give the Emeryville Police Department a good ass description of this nigga. He big, he strong, he was wearing fatigues tucked in his boots. She gave the make of his car as well as the license plate, right? But the only thing is, Felicia was traumatized. You know what I'm saying? She had just went through a whole ass ordeal, and her information was just a little bit off at every turn. Like, she was one letter off on the license plate. She said that he drove a 2-door gray Datsun with red seats, but Anthony actually drove a 2-door Mazda gray as well with red seats, different makes. Poor Felicia. But you know, she still gave a good enough description and good enough information that the police should have been able to find Anthony. And they kind of do. You know, he's listed as a suspect, but nothing really materializes. And they even fucked up the evidence at the hospital. I understand that Felicia was in critical condition when she got there. Absolutely. She had some serious shit that needed to be taken care of. I have no problems with that. But once they got her stable, they didn't do a rape kit. So there would be no physical evidence to compare to anyone at a later date, right? And that's some bullshit. A person is raped, you do a rape kit. But I guess because of her profession, somebody thought that it wasn't necessary. But it's okay though, because Felicia gonna get her lick back. Now, the Emeryville police, they bring in Anthony for questioning like 2 weeks later, but he was released because he told them, y'all got the wrong man. I don't know what y'all talking about. I am a Navy man. What are you talking about? I am married. How dare you think I would be mixed up in something like that? So they let him go. One of many missed opportunities to take this monster out of the game. Felicia's profession against Anthony's profession is what they were looking at. So her word wasn't strong enough evidence against his word. Now, I don't know. Maybe being picked up by the police spooked this nigga or something, because he decided for whatever reasons to lay low for about a year. I'm thinking he was trying to see if they were going to arrest that ass. And when they didn't, it emboldened this nigga, because he about to go on a rampage of epic proportions. Y'all better sit back and strap in, honey, because it's all go from here. Starting in August of 1985, a woman named Michelle Edwards. She's 24 years old. She's a working girl, if you believe what the streets say. And she's working, doing what she do, and she gets into the car with Anthony. And at some point in time, she realizes that she in the car with a monster. And she tried to jump out of a moving vehicle on Interstate 80, somewhere over there by the Judson Steel plant. Honey, she got out that truck, but she died as a result of her fall from the moving truck. Then, the following month, September 16th, 1985, a 22-year-old woman, again only listed as a sex worker, of course they called her a prostitute, she was found beaten to sleep over by the Skyline Boulevard in Oakland. Baby, when I tell y'all he walked them dogs on this woman, I mean he walked them motherfucking dogs. Y'all, why he beat her with a tire iron? A tire iron. And then he used her own belt to choke her out. So she laying there unconscious, left her for dead, and a motherfucker riding by on a horse, a goddamn horse, found her barely alive and got her some help. When she got to the hospital, it was bad. Like, they couldn't save one of her eyes. Her jaw was shattered. It took her completely out of the talking game. The only way that she could communicate with police was to squeeze their hand to signal certain letters of the alphabet when they asked her questions. That was bad. Like, goddamn. You know how some folks say, I beat you in the next week, I knock you in the next week? This motherfucker basically beat her back to Morse code. You ain't never known a motherfucker that couldn't talk and could not write. If she couldn't write it out, I mean, she had to be severely brain impaired some kind of way. I mean, squeeze my finger? Ooh, that's one step away from blink once for yes and twice for no. Shit. I can believe that, because if you get beat upside the head with a tire iron, that's bad. And we're going to find that that's one of Anthony's favorite tools of the trade. Just keep listening. Keep listening. Because now I'm going to tell you about Betty Lynn Stewart, who was 22 years old, from Oakland, with a 6-year-old. This is only like a week after this previous sex worker got found in Oakland. Now we're going over here to Betty Lynn. So it's September 21st, 1985. And Betty Lynn and her sister Diane, they went for a little kickback at one of the homies' houses, right? There was grilling and chilling, mixing and mingling. You know, like how young people do when some barbecue involved. And after 2 good plates and 3 good lies, it was time to go. The sister throw the deuces all around about 12:30, you know what I'm saying? We out, we'll holler at y'all later, whatever. And they start walking home because they only live about a block away from where the get-together was. So I'm thinking that they must not have been ready to call it a night, because what happened next is crazy as fuck. So Diane ran in the house right quick. She gonna go get a jacket. And Betty Lynn stayed on the curb. And you know, on some of that, I'm gonna wait for you to come right back. And that's how you know they was ready to hit the next spot. You ain't got to pee or nothing. You just on some girl, gone her up so we can go. Well, y'all know it does not take all day to run in, grab something, and run back out, even if you stop to pee. Well, when Diane came out that door, Betty Lynn was gone. And I was not there. But if I came back outside and my sister was gone, my first thought would be, I know this bitch ain't left me. And I'm sure that that was Diane's too. That's just a knee-jerk reaction to an empty sidewalk. The next thought is worry though, because just like I know my sister wouldn't, Diane knew Betty Lynn wouldn't have just dipped like that. So she began to worry, and she starts to walk around looking for her sister. And she was right to be worried, because they found Betty Lynn later on that morning around 7:30 in front of the Berkeley Aquatic Park. She had been beat down, raped, stabbed, and was deader than a motherfucker. Poor Betty Lynn. And then don't stop there, because I told you he was on some can't stop, won't stop. I'm talking the very next day. 17-year-old Diane Stone, who was also a Oakland girl, just young and cute, just a cute little chocolate drop. Well, on September 22nd, the very next day, 1985, she was about to go to the mall and jump down in some of that new because her mama had gave her $150 to go shopping with. And woo, child, in the 80s, $150, that was a nice little piece of change. Shit, you can come out with a few bags depending on where you shop. Well, Diane is headed to the Bayfair Mall to get her retail therapy on, but she never returned home. About a week later, September 29th, they found her in a field over by the John Marshall School, still in Oakland. Poor baby had been done wrong. Real wrong, y'all. That stinking motherfucker had stabbed Diane more than a dozen times and slashed her throat. Y'all see that was his thing. The beating is an overkill. Like beat, hold breath, breathe, beat some more. Like it's super teen too much. Like beating them and then cutting them. So you just can't kill them enough. You can't hurt them enough. You cannot make them suffer enough. And that was his signature MO. And I'm so not through. Like this next one, because it's a baby. 13-year-old Talita Dixon, just 13 years old. This baby ain't had a chance to do nothing in life yet before she ran across this trifling ass, degenerate ass, waste of flesh ass, stinking motherfucker. He caught her walking to her daddy's house, just trying to get to her daddy's house. Baby, they found her body discarded on a jogging trail on the Redwood Regional Park side, October 8th, 1985. I mean, there is no time between these assaults. I mean, they are back to back to back. His cool-off time can be a day, it can be a week, it can be 2 weeks. But for poor Talita Dixon, I mean, she's beaten, she's stabbed, and she's raped. This is a child, and that's so fucking diabolical to the highest level of diabolicalness. Like, woo, Jesus, give me strength to get through this case, because I'm just telling y'all, it's just something about this man. It's the overdoneness of it all, I think, that's just really fucking with me, because I'm still not through. Oh no, not yet. October 27th, 1985, there is another sex worker in Oakland who thought it was just gonna be another day on the stroll. You know, suck a little dick, a couple of hand jobs, maybe a couple of stroking goals. And you know, she's strolling, doing her thing on the stroll, and a dude pull up and he say, you know, I want to see what that mouth do. And she like, shit, bet. And they agree on a price. They're going to be a dub for the service. And in the midst of this sexual transaction going down, this motherfucker Anthony hits this woman with a goddamn lug wrench. Again, a tire iron. And then he proceeds to rape her. And if that wasn't bad enough, y'all, this motherfucker continued to beat her with that goddamn lug wrench while he is raping her. And I don't know, maybe that's what's fucking me up, because I want to know, how did he do that? Like, was it stroke a few times, hit a few times, stroke, hit, stroke and hit at the same time? Is what the fuck? Like, one or the other. You either gonna beat the fuck out of me or you gonna fuck the fuck out of me. But you're not gonna beat the fuck and fuck the fuck out of me. That's too many fucks, too many beats. It's too much. It's too goddamn much now. Audacious. I'm sorry. I don't know what it is, y'all, about this case, but it's giving me just the oh my God. But we're gonna get through it. However this nigga did it, it was bad. It was bad. But somehow old girl was able to crawl away and play dead by laying in a sewer ditch. And he thought, okay, I killed her. And he just left her because he thought that he had sent her on to glory. But he didn't. She had to play dead so that she could live. Somebody found her and called for help. But again, here's the problem. The Oakland police ain't making the connection that these badly beaten sex workers are being done by the same perpetrator. I have no words. Let's move on. Our next victim was a woman by the name of Monique Franchon Davis, of no relation. Monique was from Oakland and she was 18 years old. Again, still just starting out in life. And Monique, she worked at a daycare center. She liked the kids and she enjoyed her job, which is a fabulous thing when you can find that, right? Well, on December 5th, 1985, it started off as a regular ass Thursday. Monique got up, she got dressed, she went to work. She worked her shift. She got off, go home. Rinse and repeat, right? Nope. Because after she clocked out and left for the day on December 5th, that Thursday, she ain't show up for work on Friday. And for 4 days and 4 nights, nobody heard a word from Monique. It was like she had just dropped off the face of the earth. But then, on December 9th, 1985, they found her body. Y'all, this puss-ass nigga beat Monique like she stole something from him that was of value. And he stole her life and her facial features and everything else. I mean, he beat her to sleep and then just dumped her body behind a warehouse over by South 50th Street in Richmond, which is a suburb of Oakland. But again, Oakland still don't see no pattern. And even though there is nothing that suggests that Monique was doing something strange for a little piece of change, they still didn't have the urgency to find out who the fuck killed this young black woman. And that's such a tragedy. Like, it's such a tragedy. Because guess what? I am still not done. Not yet. Because then there was 24-year-old Beverly Ann Bryant. Yeah, Beverly was found right before Christmas. I'm talking about right before Christmas. December 24th, 1985 to be exact. Now, poor Beverly, she had been put through the ringer just like the rest of these women. She was beat down and cut up, raped and discarded. But this disgusting piece of donkey shit left Beverly to be found in the courtyard of an elementary school in the Oakland Hills neighborhood. And I know, yeah, the children, they were out for the holidays, but still, what kind of sick, twisted motherfucker leaves a dead body at an elementary school? And it's after this, after all of this killation, after all of these assaults, after all of these beatings, after all of these rapings, it's now, after Beverly's attack, that the police start to think, I think we have a serial offender on our hands. Duh, you think? I mean, and for whatever reason, they say that they felt like it was Anthony, but they can't prove it. And yeah, they got semen, but it's 1985. Ain't shit they can do with that semen because DNA testing is like science fiction at this point. You know what I mean? And we see that Anthony likes these sex workers. As you can see, he running through these motherfuckers. And next up was a 2 for goddamn 1. Yes, Audacity is on sale for 2 for 1, and he was out here fucking them up 2 for the price of 1. You see, on December 27th, just 3 days after Beverly Ann Bryant was found dead, he fuck around and get 2 sex workers to agree to a little funky $40 for a little funky monkey. Right? They jump in his whip, and he whipped around about, I think they said 3rd and Kirkham in Oakland, and then he got out, and they got out, and then he got his stab on. This audacious, pussy-stealing ass nigga jugged both of these women. I'm talking about he stabbed one of them women 10 times, and the other one, he just took his knife and fucked her face up. Like, it was almost like he was trying to take her face off her head. Just disfigured her for the rest of her life and then left them in the streets to bleed out. But fortunately, they were able to get help. And while they were definitely harmed, they did live to tell their story. Oh, Jesus. Now, by now, the Oakland police have been doing their investigations. And again, they got Anthony's name only because his background fit, because he got a prostitution charge back in the day. And it looked kind of like the person the victim was describing, but he had been stationed in the military. So you know that played into how their perception was. Did this nigga do it? Did he not? I mean, he kind of got a car, kind of like what they describing. We don't want to just pick the wrong one, but goddamn, pick somebody and do something, okay? They bring Anthony in for questioning. But Aunt's still talking about, you know what? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know these people. I'm a happily married man. Anthony was like, what I look like buying some pussy? I got pussy on tap at the house. That's what you have when you a married person, honey. Pussy on tap. Nigga, you might have had pussy on tap at the house, but you also like to tap into somebody else's pussy without paying, honey. Or like to cut the tap completely off because you know you's a good old water turner offer, nigga. A good old water turner offer. Lord Jesus, forgive me. He was a whole ass mess, y'all. And again, they don't have enough evidence, so the Oakland police had to let him go. But then, 25-year-old Angela Bledsoe, she was found beaten to death off of Eden Canyon Road in January of 1986. And then, 9 days later, on January 21st, another working girl jumped in the car with a dude. You know, I guess, you know, if this is your profession, it's kind of like how you do your job and you ain't really paying attention to it because you got muscle memory. Well, for whatever reason, she jumped in the car, but she really did look at dude. And it was only after she had gotten in the car that she actually gets a real look at who she riding with, right? And then she realizes that this nigga fucked her up in 1982 and she instantly tried to jump out the car. Ooh, but this stinking ass, trifling ass nigga was quicker than her, and he grabbed her up, he pulls her out the car, and proceeds to beat and rape her for the second time, and left her in the parking lot of that same steel company in Emeryville where he had first left Felicia all that time ago. Because remember, Felicia was our first one, right? Well, this particular young lady is able to give the Emeryville Police Department a description of her attacker. A strong nigga, black. He was wearing fatigues that were tucked into his boots. And they're like, shit, wait a minute. Damn it, that don't sound like that motherfucker that tried to rape and kill Felicia. Okay, so breaking it down between the victims that lived versus the ones that were deleted. We're talking about 6 women that have been brutalized by a monster over the course of 15 months and lived to tell the story. And 7 women who have lost their lives. That's 13 women. 6 and 7, 13? That's a lot of goddamn women in a 15-month period. And all of them happening in between Oakland and Emeryville. A monster. You know, again, they suspected Anthony, but he ain't been taken off the street yet. I don't understand why. Felicia and the other lady, they did their part of the police work. They gave descriptions, they gave tag numbers, yet this nigga is still walking free, using his dick and his hands as weapons of mass destruction. Make it make sense, somebody. And I know, I understand that one of the reasons that he was getting away with his crimes is because he was going back and forth between Emeryville and Oakland doing the actual assaults, and the women were from different areas too. And because that's different jurisdictions, you know, they're not working together, they're not sharing info. And even though all of these jurisdictions are in Alameda County, it doesn't matter. By the time they do finally have a meeting of the minds, this motherfucker had bodies on bodies on bodies on bodies. And I mean, they had to know it was a pattern, y'all. Even in their own respective jurisdictions, somebody had to see, God damn, somebody is monkey stomping the fuck out these women. This ain't a regular beating. This is an extra special beating, a VSOP. You know what I'm saying? This is different. This nigga was boots on the ground monkey stomping these women. Well past the point of when most degenerate women beating motherfuckers would stop and be like, you know what, enough's enough. Nah. This nigga was beating them like he was Mike Tyson in the ring back in the 90s. These crimes were audacious, but they didn't see the pattern. Oh, and then, of course, there's that little fact that the victim profile, you know, black coochie selling women, that wasn't high on nobody's let's get this shit handled list. Even though he was actually cutting off the water just as many times as he didn't. No sense of urgency here. Well wait a minute, Nate. Tell me this. Where the fuck is Anthony at during all of this shit? Well, in 1986, Mr. Anthony McKnight was married to a woman named Darylyn, and they have a toddler and a bun in the oven. He was a family man, doting husband and father by day, raping, murdering monster by night. He was in the military too still. You know, he had gotten out of the army because he did a stint in the army, and then he got out of the army, and then he enlisted into the Navy. And so at this particular time, when all of this particular crime and is going on, he is stationed at the Alameda Naval Station. And so while he's doing his military shit by day, he beating bitches and snatching pussy by night. But here's the kicker. He's supposed to be hurt. He filed for a discharge from the Navy, claiming that he had fallen while he was on the ship and fucked the shit all up, so he can't military no more. And okay, you can't military no more, but you can be out here in these street shenanigans, huh? And the timeline is crazy, y'all, because the discharge that he had filed for, it was supposed to take effect February 3rd, 1986, but right before, I'm talking about just right before this nigga thought he was gonna skate off into retirement. Man, tell me why that shit hit the whole ass fan. Because Emeryville Police Department has finally figured out that Anthony was the motherfucker that was out here fucking up them working girls in the East Bay area. They finally put his picture in a lineup, and Felicia and the other 5 women was like, yep, that's that nigga. And these police officers, they believe in their spirit, in their soul, that he is also the nigga that was killing the women as well, but they can't prove he the killer. But you know what? They can pursue him for them rapes and them assaults on the women who lived, because they are living. They can testify against Anthony, right? And so while this is not the greatest solution, if you will, it will be enough to take this motherfucker off the streets while they find a way somehow, some way to prove that Anthony was the killing killer who killed the prostitutes. So Emeryville, they hooked up with the Oakland Police Department and they rolled up on Anthony January 23rd, 1986. Baby, in searching his apartment on Leicester Avenue. Tell me why they found them fatigues and them fatigues had blood all over them. Like, damn, nigga, you ain't washed your clothes. I know that shit stink. Ooh, you just a nasty, nasty fucker. And ma'am, Miss McKnight, I know you smell that. I'm not going to go there right now because I got a special dragon for her in a little bit. Just hold on that one. But yeah, they found them fatigues with that blood on them, right? And while I will say this, as far as the wife, at this particular point, on this particular day, when they bust up in her shit, I have sympathy for her, right? Because she's standing there all big and pregnant, and the cops are talking about your husband and baby daddy is the motherfucker that like to fuck with and fuck up prostitutes. Ooh, child, I wouldn't wish that on nobody because that has got to be the most gut-wrenching, heartbreaking thing to find out that the nigga you love, that you want to be with for the rest of your life, you did vows with, had children with, is a audacious, diabolical, killing-ass monster. But he is, and it was time to face the music for all the beatings and all the rapes and all the disconnections he performed on them women. They arrested that ass and frog marched him out the apartment. And of course, the neighbors, shocked and amazed. Not Anthony. What? He's so friendly, so outgoing. You know he in the Navy, right? Man, Anthony is such a nice guy. I cannot believe that. You've got to be kidding me. There's got to be some kind of mistake. And on and on and on and motherfucking on. Whew. But it don't matter what the neighbors say. They brought Anthony's ass to the station, put that ass in a lineup, and all 6 of the women who were assaulted pointed him out as the man that beat and raped them. And during his interrogation, that nigga Anthony was denying everything. You'd have thought this nigga was the last who in Whoville. You kidnapped. Who? You raped. Who? You tried to kill. Who? You did kill. Who? Ain't no goddamn owls in here, nigga. You who, nigga, like to drink. Only spelled different. Shout out to John Coffey. If you got that reference. Y'all know I'm silly. I'm trying to pep myself up. I'm trying to give me something to pull on to because, I just want to hit something. Moving on. Anthony's punk ass is charged on January 24th, 1986 with a smorgasbord of charges and held without bail. Y'all, when I say they throw the book at this nigga with these charges, they hit that ass with everything but the kitchen sink. Hit him with a left, hit him with a right. I'm sorry. I'm trying. He had charges for murder, rape, kidnapping, and forced oral copulation. That was for that forced head he made a girl do. And you know what? My favorite charge of all, Anthony McKnight was charged with mayhem. Yes, New Orleans Nation, they charged this nigga with mayhem. Now that I know that that's a real thing, I am campaigning for all these motherfuckers to get charged with mayhem. I mean, if they out here shenanigan and shit, hit them off with the good shit. Because you know, if they'll shenan once, they will shenan again. Well, okay. I'm sorry. They tested the blood samples that they had from Anthony's clothes, and it was a match to the victims. They tested his blood, and it matched the rapist's profile. Ain't nothing left to do now but go crank up the jury. And it would be about 3 months before this diabolical went to trial. The prosecution had victims testifying as well as the blood evidence that linked Anthony to the crimes. And the prosecutor, Ken Burr, he was asking for 80 years and 4 months because of the viciousness of these crimes. And these women, he said, were alive by the grace of God. So, Mr. Burr, they was alive because they must have had a praying grandmother, honey, because God will do it for you, honey. When it ain't your time, it ain't your time, honey, because Anthony was trying to send these women to the upper room, but it was not to be, honey. God's will be done. Now, Anthony, that punk ass nigga had a public defender named Al Heimer. All Al could say is, you know what? They got the wrong man. Anthony wasn't the one, no matter what them prostitutes said. They had so many customers that they had to have mixed Anthony up with one of the many, many Johns that they knocked down daily. Ooh, the shade, sir. Another attorney who was on the case for a little bit This crab-ass motherfucker said, quote, how many prostitutes are bludgeoned and beaten in the last 5 years? It's a dangerous job. You get picked up by strange people who do strange things. End quote. Ooh, trifling. Yes, you are definitely picking up some strange people, but that does not give these strangers the opportunity or the right to take somebody's life. It don't make no difference. All 6 of them picked out Anthony, and that's what they said on the stand. Now, Anthony's wife, I did have just a teensy bit of sympathy for her when she found out that her husband was a beater who beats and a raper who rapes, and who was also suspected of being a murderer who murdered. I had a little bit of sympathy for her. But now that we at trial, all that sympathy go at the motherfucking door, because instead of her sitting her ass down in a corner somewhere and not having nothing to do with this shit, this bitch gets on the motherfucking stand. Yes, she did, in her husband's defense, and tries to give this motherfucker an alibi. Yes, she did, y'all. Not for all of them, but for just one of the assaults. This bitch got on the stand talking about, my husband was home with me no matter what that lady said when she was raped. Bitch, what? You was old, dumb, thirsty ass broad, huh? Ain't no way in the hell I'd have got on that stand and said any of that type of shit. No, ma'am. You're not saying that he was home every day, every time one of these rapes happened. You just want to pull 1 out of the 6 talking about he was home this day. You don't know where the fuck that nigga was, because clearly you weren't asking no questions, because he was out all times of the day and night while your ass was at home barefoot and pregnant, and you didn't have no questions for this nigga coming home with blood and shit on him. So, ma'am, how dare you? Ugh. I can't stand it. Go sit your ass down somewhere and drink some water and raise your babies. Although by now, if they was in the 80s, them babies grown. Sit down and raise your grandbabies. Again, cussing a bitch out for some shit that happened 20 years ago. I don't care. I just found out about it this week. I had to get you for old and for new, bitch. Anyway, as for Anthony's punk ass, on June 9th, 1987, the jury stood on business a little bit and found that ass guilty of all charges. And in August of 1987, Judge Robert Byers hit it up and made it official. Gave that nigga 63 years to go sit that ass down. And so Anthony is off to the Salinas Valley State Prison to do his bid. Now, you might think that this is the end of the story. It is not. I got some more shit to tell you, right? Because while we do have Anthony for these rapes and these assaults, there's still that other issue of the women who not only got beat down, but had their water cut off. And Anthony was the prime suspect in those crimes too. But as you know, the issue was they had no evidence. They did have some evidence. They just had evidence they couldn't do shit with, right? Well, later on, a task force was formed with officers from Emeryville, Oakland, Berkeley, and the East Bay Regional Park District. And they got together, they compared notes to see if they could make some charges stick against this nigga. Cause yeah, he in prison, but he not in prison for life. This nigga gonna get out if we don't do something, right? They needed to do something to make sure that they could take him off the board forever. Cause that murderer was gonna pay for all that shit he did. Time is passing and technology begins to make things interesting, right? I'm talking about that goddamn DNA testing. So Anthony is now 12 years into his 63-year sentence when they get a court order to get a DNA swab from this nigga. They get that swab, they plug that shit into the DNA machine, and woo, that motherfucker starts spitting out matches. You thought this was happening, and it actually was happening. It was literally going down, and Anthony was the nigga that killed those women. They now have definitive proof that Anthony McKnight beat, raped, and murdered Betty Stewart, Diane Stone, Talitha Talton, Monique Davis, and Beverly Bryant. Time to put that ass back in front of a jury. Now, Anthony's murder trial for these women started July 16th, 2008, and the state was going for the death penalty this time, honey. They had DNA evidence proving without a shadow of a doubt he did that shit. They showed pictures of all of the victims and how they looked similarly monkey-stomped and mollywopped excessively. Oh, they had all of that good evidence. They had some of the people who testified in his first trial to come in and talk about the pattern of abuse that they suffered under this man. Well, this time, his defense attorney was a man named Alexander Selvin and a man named Michael Berger. all they could say, Anthony McKnight says it wasn't him, so you don't convict him because he said it wasn't him. I mean, these last two were the last two attorneys in a list of attorneys that came and went on Anthony's case and then dropped that shit like a hot potato. They was like, These attorneys was like, look, we ain't got much, but all we gonna ask is that you don't jump to no conclusions and shit out willy-nilly. Unless you 1,000% sure, you gotta go with not guilty. Whatever. Now, it was a long trial. That shit lasted from July through the summer and into the fall until a jury of 7 women and 5 men, they were out for a week deliberating. Now, they came to a consensus pretty quickly that the nigga was guilty on all 5 counts of murder and 5 counts of special circumstances. But what happened was they couldn't get on one accord about the death penalty. And so for a while, they was deadlocked. And, they kept going at it. And in the end, they decided, you know what? It's time for Anthony to leave this bitch permanently. They came to that decision on September 17th, 2008. Now, when Judge Jeffrey Horner sentenced him 2 months later, formally on November 17th, 2008, do y'all know that this trifling ass, audacious ass nigga had the absolute nerve to bust out laughing like full on belly? I think white folks call it guffawing. This motherfucker was giggling and shit. Sir, indeed. He sat his punk ass up there giggling like a schoolgirl as he was sentenced for raping and killing these women. But that's okay, nigga. You laughing now. We gonna see who's laughing last when you get that hot shot in your funky ass arm over there on death row. And it wasn't much to really do because he was already in prison, remember, serving 63 years. And when he caught that death penalty, it was just a matter of moving his cell from where he was to the Green Mile side of San Quentin. And that is where Anthony, inmate number D64539, sat for the next 11 years as the appeal process played out. But here's the part where we fell short, right? Unfortunately, the state did not get a chance to disconnect this nigga. He died of his own accord in his cell on October 17th, 2019. And I mean, shit, I know, dead is dead. But that nigga skated, and his victims, they didn't get a chance to see him be put down. You know what I'm saying? But dead is dead. Anthony was 65 years old when he died. And that New Ornation is the story of Anthony McKnight. That was a lot, wasn't it? How y'all feeling? I do feel that, in a way, justice was served, but at the expense of too many women that got caught up just trying to make ends meet, right? Too many lives were lost just because they were sex workers. I think I figured out what was bothering me about this case. And it's more so, I'm sitting here looking at this picture, and I don't know about you, but I prefer my serial offenders to look crazy, to be somebody that I can look at and want to clutch my pearls because something about you ain't right. But in Anthony's case, and in so many others, this nigga looked like anybody's uncle on any grill at any family reunion across the United States. I mean, he looked like a regular ass uncle that was socks and them Jesus sandals. He looked regular, like he didn't look crazy. He looked like somebody I have passed, like somebody I have shot the shit with. And that bothers me because here is this man that is supposed to be an upstanding citizen. He's in the military. People, when they see him, say, thank you for your service. Because we tend to do that every time we see somebody in the military, right? But at the same time, to know you've been trained, you know better, and you have been out here just fucking women up left, right, and sideways. And it don't matter if they were prostitutes or sex workers, whatever the fuck you want to call them. It don't matter. That was still somebody's child. It was God's child. And who the fuck gave you the authority to just take somebody off the board like that? And when you compound that with the fact that he ain't alone, there's so many more regular looking men and women, for that matter, with regular jobs, careers, not just jobs, careers, careers that they've been at for long periods of time. And they are sadistic bastards. And that's a scary ass thought. Like, I don't know, it's just got me. I'm not a conspiracy theorist by any stretch of the imagination, although I do believe Tupac is still alive. But it weighs on my soul. This is just weighing on my soul a little bit. And of course, I will bounce back. I always do. I'm a Virgo. don't let shit hold me down too long. But it's disheartening, right? Just one, because I know that there's nothing that we can do to go back and change what happened in the past, right? Being mad about some shit that happened in 85 and 86 ain't gonna do me no good in 2025. Knowing the story that it happened and to get it out to you all to let you guys know it happened and to be on the lookout for some of these traits today. I mean, hell, if your man leave every night, your woman leave every night and be gone 4, 5, 6 hours, come home, don't want you asking no questions, that motherfucker a serial something, a serial killer, a serial raper, a serial fucker. It's some serialing going on. You know what I'm saying? And also, I'm trying not to get in my feelings about the fact that in my heart of hearts that I feel that if these women that had been brutalized had been caucasoids, no stone would have been unturned to bring this motherfucker to justice way before a softball team of their asses would have been assaulted and killed. You know? But it's okay. It's okay. It's going to be all right. That's why we are here. Me and the rest of the wonderful people in this community of ours of Black true crime podcasting that are out here telling these stories of these people that was doing some shit to put you up on game so that you can be mindful as you go and walk through life. There's some people out here that ain't right and don't mean you no good. I mean, don't mean you no good at all, New York Nation. Now, I'm through. I am going to put my soapbox up. This episode is over with. This man is good and dead. He been ashes to ashes and dust to dust. So why the fuck will I let him live rent free in my head? Fuck him. Fuck you, Mr. McKnight. And did. Okay, look, let's perk this thing up a little. Y'all know what to do. Hit me up on the social media pages. You can find me at Melanin Mayhem Podcast or Melanin Mayhem PC on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, X. And if you're somewhere and you don't see me, tell me about it. I'll get on this shit too. My email is always open at melaninmayhempodcast@gmail.com. Couple of things coming up. Don't forget, next month I am leading a community discussion on the Atlanta child murders and the role Wayne Williams is attributed to in that case at the Auburn Avenue Research Library in downtown Atlanta on June 7th. You can find more info on Eventbrite, and there will be a link in today's show notes. If you are interested in coming out and having some real dialogue on a real case that's still relevant today, I would love to see you, honey. Also, I would like to address one other thing. You guys know there is a collective that I'm a part of, the Black True Crime Collective, BTCC, and it has come to my attention that some of you have purchased tickets to an event that was advertised on my page for the Infamous Ones podcast live show. And I have to apologize because I was not clear enough on my page that I was just promoting that because this podcast was a member of the True Crime Collective, but I was not a part of the actual show. And it's my understanding that some of you purchased tickets because you thought that that was something that I was going to be presenting at. And I have to say, I am so sorry. I should have done a better job of making it clear that I was coming as an attendee, not as someone that would be on stage presenting a case. Again, I do apologize because that's my bad. So I'm all about being solution oriented. So I cannot have people that purchase tickets just to come and see and kick it with the country girl. So please, if you have purchased tickets to the Infamous Ones live show in Atlanta on next month, can you please send me a DM with your information? If you're going to be in Atlanta, we're going to figure out some kind of way to make this thing work, because if you came to want to see me, I mean, we can go have a drink or something and, you know, we'll do some things. So hit me up, each of you, again, that purchased a ticket to this event and you thought that it was going to be something that I was going to be presenting at. Please let me know and I will talk with you one-on-one and we're going to make something work out, because the country girl want her people to be whole. I can't have y'all out here spending good coin thinking that you're going to get one thing and you don't, because good coin's hard to come by, honey, and I am appreciative of all the things you do. Appreciate that shit so very much. And again, just want to make sure that everyone is happy and whole. This week's New Orleans Nation shout out comes from Mrs. Fred G, who left a review on Spotify. She said, Renee, say, I love this podcast. You have the voice, the facts, and the humor that makes it a good old time, even if the subject matter is sad. I'm a proud member of the New One Nation, hunty. I play my podcast in the order I like them, and the best is always saved for last. My favorite country girl, of course. Side note, why do I always sign out with you at the end of every episode like I'm on the show with you? Mrs. Fred G, thank you so much for listening and spending some of your time with me. And I love you for it. And it's so funny because about the sign off, last week, I was a little faded and I didn't do my usual sign out. And apparently you weren't the only one that does it with me, because I got messages telling me, hey, can you please go back to the way you normally do it? Don't do no new shit, is what one person said. I love my crew. The New One Nation will let the country girl know exactly how they feel, and I love that shit. So I also want to give a shout out to the Black True Crime Collective, the BTCC, which consists of the following podcasts: Melanin Mysteries, Not My Brother's Keeper, and A Sip of Red Rum, and of course, your girl, the country girl, at Melanin Mayhem. If you haven't listened to any of those podcasts, please go over there and check them out, because they are bomb.com. There's a little something for everybody, no matter how you like it. Stay tuned. We are cooking up a event for the latter part of the year, and you know it's going to be good. And I don't answer many questions. I will just say that, when Destiny's Child started out, it was more people than just Beyonce, Kelly, and Michelle. And that's all I have to say about that. We're new. There's a couple of growing pains or whatever, but we keeping it classy and keeping it moving, and everybody wishes everyone the best, but everything ain't for everybody, and sometimes you just have to move on. And that's all I have to say about that. Now, look here. I gotta go get in the lab and get my edit on, so we just finna let this shit ride. All hearts are free, all minds are clear. Y'all go on ahead with your day, and remember, stay safe, stay vigilant. And if you don't remember nothing else legit that I said, just remember this: if you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready. It's one love, New One Nation, and the country girl is out of here.